Ask any questions you want, but this is a story of how I turned a few $100,000 into a few million, and Elizabeth Keatinge stole everything. This is particularly infuriating because it's stealing from these birds. And I know many people won't understand this, but pretend they're abused dogs or something. This money was to help many more birds that desperately need help, that are stuck in cages with nothing and fed Fruit Loops basically for 40, 50, 60, 70 years and are in desperate need of help. And this girl, steals it so her and her husband can buy Gucci purses? The things that they want, the way that they live, they were not able to figure it out on their own, so they have to steal from my birds. I'm gonna start telling the story, and then I'm gonna post the text communications and the documents to support everything. It's hard to understand how somebody could do something as stupid as I did, but you have to have an idea of the way I live and my commitment to helping these birds that have not had a fair shake in this world. They're born in a cage, they die in a cage. They're horrible pets, are loud, demanding, messy. I'll get into all that later, but you have to have a visual for my home life of 40 birds without cages, and at this time period, I had no help cleaning them or feeding them. And sole focus was turning a few $100,000 into millions. The girls in the photo, Jessica Steindorf and Elizabeth Keatinge, are best friends. We had known each other over 16 years. And after I looked into a few other businesses, ammunition business, pistachio orchard, and I had opened up a Bitcoin account, I decided on purchasing an income property in Los Angeles where Jessica would make the mortgage payments, I would make the down payment, and Elizabeth would get the bank loan. It was a great way to start. Now, my whole life, I wish somebody offered me an opportunity like that, where someone else pays the down payment, someone else pays the mortgage, I just get a bank loan. What a phenomenal deal for Elizabeth. That's Elizabeth Keatinge Schneider of my property, November 2016. I have known Elizabeth to be reliable, responsible, conservative, cautious. She keeps a job. She's a reporter at New York One and an anchor. So doing an investment with her never occurred to me that she's going to rip me off. It was at this time I had explained her Bitcoin, and I showed her the Coinbase account I'd opened. I also PayPal'd her $500 and had her open up a second Coinbase account for me and use $4,000 that I had wired for the down payment of the property to go into that Coinbase account. And it was clear, this is my Coinbase account. Although she opened it in her name, she's not entitled to any of it. It's with my money. That money is my inheritance. She's not entitled to it. If she wanted Bitcoin, she has a job. She could buy her own Bitcoin. But in no time is she entitled to mine. She had an opportunity, great opportunity, to make money with a property, and Jessica and I were waiting for her to get the loan. In fact, we set up appointments with loan officers. We assisted her, encouraged her in every way that we could to get this property. And you'll see in these text messages how hard I am pushing her. As time went on and Elizabeth Keatinge Schneider did not get the loan, I realized I could never make the money on a property I was making with Bitcoin. I became obsessed with it. I read all about it. I understood it. Elizabeth's numbers would not add up, but I figured she just wasn't adding them right. And maybe tired from work or too much Vicodin. And there's a digital footprint anyway, so can't go anywhere. But I became extremely frustrated when things were really kind of sketchy. And I couldn't confront her on the phone because she'll shut down. And this is my life's monies. This is everything that I have. I was also living off this money. I would have her Zelle money to my Wells Fargo account to pay for my monthly expenses with the birds and whatnot. So I was dependent on this 100%. When I became overwhelmingly frustrated, we decided to meet in Los Angeles. On the way to meet her in Los Angeles, she sent me a screenshot of her reading Bitcoin for Beginners. I could not believe it. OMG, a year later, and you're reading that? I was disgusted at myself and her. I just hung up on her, calmed down, called her back and said it was the plane because it was boarding and whatnot. And then once in Los Angeles, this is right about Bitcoin to go through its second fork in November of 2017. At that time, the second fork was coming up, and I thought, how can I benefit on this? Because as you know, the first fork, you got matched. For every Bitcoin you had, you got matched 1 Bitcoin cash. So I figured, load up on Bitcoin. However, the morning I woke up of the fork, I believe it was November 8th, I had an epiphany. I realized, don't buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash. And at this time, I probably had 270 Bitcoins, over 150 Bitcoin Cash, some Ethereum, some Litecoin. And I wanted to make a $300,000 purchase of Bitcoin Cash that morning, which is quite simple. With Gemini, you just do it on your phone. It's really easy. So I call Elizabeth Keatinge, maybe 7 a.m., tell her it's very important. I want to meet with you because I want to do this transaction. She ditches me all day long. Finally, I meet with her. She's giving me some runaround about her computer. I go right to the Apple store and buy a brand new laptop. Then more runaround with everything she has an excuse for. Her behavior is erratic. She even looked different, really gaunt. And by the end of the evening, she had a screaming, crying, hysterical outburst and just ran out. And now I'm in shock. This is millions of dollars. It's my inheritance. It's my future. It's my dreams. It's everything. And I can't get by without that money. I can't even get home. So I'm trying to calm down and absorb this whole situation, hoping she'll come to her senses. But I don't hear from her. Don't hear from her for 5 days. And then you'll read the text. I try everything. I went crazy texting her. So some weirdo guy calls me who, like a typical coward thief, won't identify himself and tells me never to call Elizabeth again. That's a good one when she has all my money, everything. And it was at that moment I realized how stupid I was. And you know how hindsight's always 20/20. Anyways, I was completely in shock.